It's the Film Threat Watch Party. That's not how this was supposed to start. Let's try that again. This is the Film Threat Watch Party. There should be more pumped music with that. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Loren Kling, and welcome to another Film Threat Watch Party. Glad you could join us. Thank you if you are returning from previous weeks. Last week, we had Dark State, if you remember that. That was kind of cool. Got to chat with the filmmaker and cast about filming back east. We had Concessionaires Must Die a few weeks ago, Untitled horror movie. Tonight we have Notorious Nick. I'm really excited to bring on the cast. If you have not yet gotten the movie ready to go, you're going to actually be watching the movie on your own TV or your own computer, laptop, phone, whatever. You can go on to Apple, Amazon, Vudu, Fandango, or Video on Demand. Rent the movie, get it ready to stream, and then in about 10 minutes or so, we'll press play at the same time. So the movie's playing on our own screens. I'll bring on our panel. We'll hang out, grab your drinks and all that. Let's see who's in the chat right now. Let's see. IJ Cam, welcome. Thank you very much. Marls, hi. Hello to all of you. Thank you so much for joining. I'm curious what's bringing you here. Is it the movie? Is it one of the panelists? Is it me? Thank you, XL. I am French. It's always good information to know. We'll let the panelists know if in case Francesca, Jacqueline, Mark Allen, who produced the movie, decided to jump on to say hello. Thank you. We hope we'll have him soon. Tatiana, hello. Who else? Marlo. I'm just going through. Let's see. So many people. Thank you for joining us. My friend Brandon up in San Francisco, welcome back. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, Cody did an amazing job. John will have him on. Let's see. Somebody came for the free popcorn. We don't offer free popcorn. So anyway, get the movie ready to go. Let me share some things going on. So let me look at my notes. If you want to check out the latest movie reviews, go to filmthreat.com. We have movie reviews for Respect, Midnight in the Switchgrass with Bruce Willis playing God, The Suicide Squad. Curious if you guys have seen that and what you think about it. We have trailers for Blood Conscious, The Berlin Bride, and Overrun. And we have our podcast and videocast interviews with Chris Gore and The Legend of Hell's Gate with writer, director, and actor Tanner Beard. We have filmmaker Jordan Roberts with 3, 2, 1, Frankie Go Boom, just on the title alone. And Chris interviews Polka Dot Man from the Suicide Squad. That is David Das Malchian. I know I'd messed that up. So check those out on filmthreat.com. We have so many things on there. Upcoming Film Threat watch parties. Next week we have Habit. We have a special guest host. Stay tuned for that. And then I'll be back on the 27th for the In-Between. So many cool things. Oh, by the way, Habit next week stars Bella Thorne and Libby Mintz. So that would be cool if they join us. And then, also September 3rd, Brewmance. It's a documentary that takes a look at the world of craft breweries. All of that is on filmthreat.com. And let's see, what else? Just say hi in the chat. Make sure you got everything going. Get your questions ready. Mark says that he's seen it over 400 times in every form and still laughs and cries and jumps out of his seat. All right, awesome. So Mark's one of those amazing fans. So I assume that once Mark comes on, he's just going to want interviews and autographs from everyone else. John, yes, John, The Suicide Squad was hilarious. Saw it 4 times. Yeah, really good. Really good. All right. So enough about me yammering about nothing whatsoever. Let's bring on the cast that we have here. Let's say hello to Cameron. Let me take that off. Cameron Matthews, welcome. We've got Barry Livingston, welcome. And we've got Cody. Hey, guys.
Hi there.
Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. Anybody want to share what part of the world they're hanging out in right now? I will start. I'm in Los Angeles.
I think yeah, California.
Cool.
California. Studio
California.
City.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's all Cali. Last week, everybody was from the East Coast. In fact, for Dark State, they filmed the movie at the director's parents' house. Some of the scenes were filmed in their area. So did anybody rent out their own homes for this film?
Well, I would never admit that because then they're going to want money from me. I'm just pocketing it.
No, you're supposed to.
Pocket.
You're supposed to charge a large rental fee for renting your place.
I'm making bank on this. It's so Luke, I had no idea I could do this on my own.
So let's see. Janice is super excited to be here. Francesca says one of the best movies of the whole industry. I'm curious what industry you're talking about. Are you talking about MMA type fighting, that industry, the film industry, or movies not filmed at people's homes? So we've got some hi Cody's. Hello. Cody, oh my God. I hope I did that justice. It's probably more like, oh my God. So anyway, we'll have more of these throughout the day. So is this a reunion for you guys, or have you been able to meet in person or virtually since you wrapped?
I mean, I've yet to see Cameron. Cameron, you're looking great, my man.
Oh, stop it.
I was able to see Barry virtually and in person. We both actually ended up going to the theaters and seeing the film on the release day. So we ran into each other there. So we got to catch up in person.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great, and it was great to see it on a big screen. You know, I know if I think it's still in a theater here or two, but it was amazing to see it on a big screen, and it played so well, and I was so proud of everybody and proud of myself because I'd actually look pretty good, like I could do a few wrestling moves that actually didn't look like such a geek.
See, and I'm curious to ask you guys, working on TV, working in films, how was it to be able to see a film, any film, even yours, on a big screen, since for the last year and a half, we've been forced to watch our stuff on a smaller screen?
I mean, I guess for me, it's the experience, and that's something that I think you can never kind of take away or lose. I think it's what makes film and TV so special, especially film and cinema, right? Is the experience of going to a theater and seeing the film portrayed on large format with great sound, a very immersive experience. And yeah, to your point, this is the first thing that I've actually seen in theaters since the whole lockdown, pre-COVID. So yeah, quite a thrilling experience. Dream come true, honestly.
Yeah. Everybody again, and the sound was banging. The sound, it sounded, you can get big screen TV, and I guess you can get soundboard, some sound bars and really amp up the sound. But it was a really great sound and a great picture. It looked so cool. And Cody does a great song. I didn't know you were a musician over the end titles. What a fantastic song that he wrote and performed.
Wow!
Thank you.
Rent it or go see it just for that, because it's a great song.
Thank you.
I was telling you earlier, Loren, it was a dope experience to share it with my grandma, because I actually I got to see it in my hometown. So to have like my grandma with me as my date and then seeing them on the big screen, she made it worth it. She was over here screaming and yelling like she was at her own house. So, going yelling at Abby and Nick too to win their fights. It was cool. I enjoyed that moment.
Yeah. For Cody and Barry, does it ever get old for your family to see your work on the big or little screen, or they still get excited for everything you do?
Barry, I want to hear your answer.
Yeah, let me scroll back through about 60 years. No, it is. It still is exciting, and particularly when it's something quality. I mean, I've been in good and the bad and the ugly, and this is far and above one of the very best things that I've had the opportunity to be in. So I think that they were very excited, very proud, and my kids and my wife were brutally honest. So, they were happy, which made me happy.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. And Cameron, I know you've done some live theater. That you've got a background in live theater. Have you been able to get back out onto the boards? I know things opened up, closing back down again.
Yeah, no, theater definitely. That's my background for sure in the Bay Area. What's up, Bay? Love you, Oakland for sure, definitely. It took a big hit for sure because of the COVID. Things are starting to open up now. I am planned to do a theater performance in 2022 at Marin Theater Company called Passover by Antoinette Nwandu, who is brilliant. If you haven't seen her work, check her out. You can actually see this play on Amazon Prime. Spike Lee directed it, so I'm fingers crossed that everything's good by 2022.
Yeah, and then Cameron, being from the Bay Area, you were in a Mercedes-Benz commercial with Clay Alexander. How was that? Did you geek out, or were you pretty chill?
That's so funny. I didn't know if you were gonna bring that one up or the one where they made me straighten my hair. That one was crazy too. But the one with Clay. So I'm born and raised from Sacramento. The Bay adopted me. Oakland adopted me when I was like 22 when I moved out there. So I always rep the King. So the first thing I did when I met Clay was make sure I put my King's backpack on in front so he could see it. And he's cool, man. We had a great conversation about his boys and my boys, and you could tell actually with Clay, he was hungry. He wants to get back on the court. So
yeah,
he's professional and a lot of fun to work with.
You know what?
Senior Seasick.
It's always fun, even when you work in the industry. There's always those people that you meet that you kind of geek out over. And I mean, it'll always be like that because that's part of the reason we work in this industry, because we were inspired. Barry, you go back a few years. Who were some of the actors that inspired you? I know you were pretty young, so who got you in? Was it you? Was it your family?
I was really, by accident. I was at an audition with my brother, and I was about 4 or 5 years old, and for a film with Paul Newman and Joan Woodward called Rally Around the Flag Boys, and I just was dragged along. My mom just didn't have a babysitter, and my brother went in, read. The producers came out and said, "We want to hire your son," which is a lot. They used to do that a lot back in the day. They hired on the spot, and they said, "Oh, there's another little. Who's that kid there?" And he goes, "That's his brother, Stan's brother." And so they said, "Well, there's a brother role in this. Can he act?" And I just went. My mother goes, And I went, yeah, I can act. And so that's how I got my first job, working in a film with Paul Newman, Joan Woodward. But yeah, so many people have been a great inspiration way back. Obviously Fred McMurray, when I did My Three Sons, was a huge star. But more recently, I did a Jersey Boys with Clint Eastwood. And it doesn't get much bigger than working with Clint. And it was a very exciting, and he was so sweet. And he doesn't say action. He goes and all actors I think would appreciate this. He stands by the camera, old school, and he looks at a little kind of prom, device that shows him what's the camera's filming, but he's watching you. He doesn't say action. He goes, "Whenever you're ready," and that means go. In a very Dirty Harry-esque voice, "Whenever you're ready." And I was like, oh, it threw me the first time I heard it. I was like, wow, whenever I'm ready. Oh, I'm usually here like action, so it was great. It was a highlight.
Cody, Francesca wants to know who inspired you. Who'd you watch growing up that you were like, I want to do that?
I feel like the inspiration inside the world of acting came later for me, if that makes any sense. Like I kind of stumbled into it and discovered it and began exploring the craft of acting and fell in love with that process. And then as I kind of got more and more immersed into the world is when I started paying attention to film and actors and kind of sought out inspiration from these people. But it was really interesting. It was like a very creative accident in my life that got me into all of this. And then once I was in it, I kind of fell in love with it. And the thing that I'm most grateful for in my life is having been exposed to this at such a young age, it gave me that sense of direction of like, all right, cool. Like, I want to do this thing for the rest of my life. And, it's just kind of grown and compounded ever since.
Very cool. All right, let's get the movie started. Then we'll come back to the questions. We'll continue. Thank you, everybody who's commenting on the movie, sharing their love for you guys. I will get to you in a second. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to stream the movie on your own device, your own TV. So we'll just get ready. We'll press play. And if at some point later on it seems somebody jumps in late or you don't know where we are, just let me know. Hit me up in the chat. We'll shout out a time code and we'll kind of sync ourselves up. Oh, we lost Cody. All right.
We don't want to lose Cody. Well, while we're looking for Cody, shall I listen to the screen, the movie through headphones so you're not picking it up in my mic? Would that?
You know what? I would just mute it because otherwise we will have audio from multiple movies playing at once.
Exactly. Yeah.
Plus, you have to pay Cameron and Cody a nickel for every minute that they can hear themselves. Right? I think that's in their writers.
Yeah, mine's a dime. So I got a better agent. Well, so in other words, we're just going to watch. We're going to watch the image, and we'll just. I think we'll know what's going on just watching the image.
Yeah.
Right.
So yes.
Got it.
All right. So let's get ready. I've got it up on my screen right here. So I'm going to do this special 3D effect I've been practicing all day. We're going to press play in 3, 2, 1, and play. And then that's it. So we'll wait for Cody to come back. He's calling from some undisclosed secret bunker somewhere with a nice couch. Nice couch. All right.
Oh, you see me?
You back?
Oh. Yeah. Sorry, I had to load up the film and press play.
What happened? I'm getting Debbie Does Dallas. What's happening?
Barry, you're dating yourself, and 2, this is a family-friendly event.
Well, I don't know what that means. It could mean anything.
It could very much mean anything. So if you guys are just joining us, we just started Notorious Nick. I'm at 43 seconds already. Barry, you were phenomenal. Did you pay for casting, or is this somebody you know, or just an unsolicited?
It was totally unsolicited, as most good things are. It came to me through a phone call, and honestly, I think it just somebody, I don't know who thought. Howard Bird told me, one of our producers said he thought of me. I guess that's the story. But then I got a phone call asking if I'd be interested in it. And of course, after reading the script, I definitely was interested.
Yeah, so we're right into a fight right away, and I'm curious. Any of you 3 fans of Ultimate Fighting? Did you know much about it before you booked the role?
Sir Cameron?
Oh yeah, I definitely was. I wrestled in high school and then did jiu-jitsu afterwards. So UFC was always something that you would find in my household. Sports in general, I was raised in a sports family. So yeah, I was a fan of the sport. And then we actually got to work with some amazing actual fighters too when we were shooting this. So yeah.
And then how about you, Cody? What did you know about the sport before you signed on?
I knew enough about it for sure. I definitely wasn't ignorant on the subject. I've been a fan of UFC for quite a long time. I'd done some training beforehand, boxing and Muay Thai, specifically jiu-jitsu. It's like the longest thing that I ever trained in it. So when I first read the script, I was geeked out. I was excited, being able to play in this world. I knew it was going to take some work and some training, but I was up for it. It was a blast.
You look great too. From day one when we were working, I just looked at Cody and I thought, man, he's been doing this his whole life, I guess. I mean, it was so, I can't say effortless because I'm sure there was a lot of effort involved and a lot of preparation, but it looked great, and results are on screen.
Yeah, thank you, man. All the wrestling stuff with you, Cameron, looked great. That was honestly the wrestling section in the high school, the gymnasium. That was, I think, one of the hardest things to film. I was legitimately getting tossed around out there.
Yeah. Now,
Dude,
Cody, Oh, go ahead, Cameron.
I don't know if Cody remember this or not, but we were doing this was when we were in the training for the MMA fighting, man. You hit me with this one good flip over there, and the thing is, it didn't even make it. I was like, oh, I took a good bump for that too. But man, no, Cody, he put a lot of work in, man. It was a pleasure to work with him on that.
Thank you, man.
Who had a stunt double? Did Cameron, Cody, did you both have somebody you worked with?
Yeah, I had a stunt double. He's actually been my stunt double in a few things. He's done some work with me in All American. I met him when I was filming Teen Wolf. He's kind of been like my go-to guy ever since. So yeah, he was there. I brought him on initially as my stunt double, and then he became the stunt coordinator and kind of oversaw and assisted with everything visually and how it worked, and keeping us all safe and protected as well. So great guy.
Now, Cody, does he look like you enough where you could send him out to be your doppelganger when you have like a fan meetup?
I think it could work for sure. Just put a hat and a hoodie on. It can make it work.
And then Barry, did you have a stunt double for all of your incredible coaching?
I always have a stunt double. Yeah. No, I only had to do a few things, thank God. But no, everything that you see, the fabulous stunts that you see me do, it's me doing them. So, no, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah,
real professional, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, what I love is you guys really do a great job. There's a lot of soul and love coming out of the characters in here. Barry, you reminded me so much of PE coaches from high school. There was that realness. Have you ever done this kind of role before, or were you thinking about anybody you knew?
I went in preparation. I went to school out here in the Valley, El Camino High, and there was my brother-in-law was a teacher there, and I said, "Can you hook me up with your wrestling coach?" And so he was kind enough to let me come out and watch the class, and how he interacted with the kids was real important to me to see how he controlled the class, because there's a lot of testosterone in that room, and he was great. And one thing I picked up, and I used it in the movie, wasn't in the script, but after every time there'd be a match or he'd show kids some kind of new move, he'd go, questions, comments, concerns. And I thought, I like that. I'd like to throw that in. And I thought too, if it repeats in the movie, particularly if I started in the beginning, in the early days of Wrestling Clash, and then at some point as it gets into MMA, and we used it again at the final, the big match, and it just has a resonance, and it could take Cody or back to our original relationship, and I thought it worked.
Very cool. So right now we're at about 6 minutes 38 seconds. Where was this shot? The wrestling.
Yeah, I'm actually on the same time as you. That's great. This was in, what was the town called, guys? Jackson. It was a middle school or high school out in Jackson, California, and that was, Kevin, you probably know better. How close is it to Sacramento?
Oh man, not too far. Maybe an hour, something like that. Maybe I could be off though. Yeah. Shout out to Jackson though. They held it down.
But what I loved when we did it, they made it very clear to the crew and cast, don't let anybody know Cody Christian's in town working on this movie, because it'll be like Beatlemania. and of course we were working at a junior high school, which is serious fan base for Cody, and slowly the word filtered around the school that Mr. Christian was actually here in the flesh working. And it was very cool, because Cody, being the sweetheart and the great human being he is, they arranged a meeting with the girls. By the time the meeting took place, it really was a scene from Beatlemania. There must have been 300 little tweeners out there just losing their mind. It was very cool.
That was great. Everybody out there in that town, every location that we shot at was very special. The high school, the training gym, the little MMA gym that we shot out, everybody that was involved, like the hospitality there was through the roof and incredible. So shout out, like you said, to Jackson, everybody there that helped us along the way in this production.
Nice. Yeah, Cody, you've done a few things that some people may have heard of, like All American, Teen Wolf, Pretty Little Liars. What were your shows that you were watching when you were in high school and getting into that age?
I mean, at that time, I was like working in the industry, and I usually when I'm working a lot, I tend to not watch a lot of the content that's being pushed out. I'm kind of late to things. But when I was a teenager and still like, I love cartoons. Like I love all forms of like animation. I feel like it's very fun and easy to watch. You can kind of tune in and out whenever, which is like perfect for me. Cause sometimes I don't always get the chance to like follow chronologically, you know, a story or a series. So yeah, for me, it was a lot of just like animation, a lot of cartoons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you actually got to kind of related to that. You got to work in the Final Fantasy series. You got to do some voice acting, right?
Yes. Yeah, that was thank you. Thanks, man. It was a crazy experience. Because at first, like I didn't know what it was, right? Like I've said this before, when I got the audition, it was undisclosed. It wasn't like I didn't get a heads up, like this is what it is. It was just kind of a brief character description. You know, and a video game, it's kind of all I got. So I went in there and I did an audition, and I was on like a Zoom Skype call with like Japan and like everybody over there, and they had like a translator in between. It was crazy. And then like 2 or 3 months went by and I thought that I didn't get it. And they phoned us up and said, hey, like, sorry for the delays. We want to start in a couple weeks. Here's what you're doing. And like I was familiar with the game and the universe, right? But I didn't realize how significant and how long of a life span Final Fantasy has had. So when I started doing my research, I was like, oh my God.
and that is a whole different additional crowd too. Like you can now sign autographs at comic conventions the rest of your life.
Hey, and the fans for in that world, right, in the video game world and Final Fantasy in general, like they really welcomed me with open arms, so much love and hospitality. Like they're a fan first of the game and taking on the role. That's kind of what I went in there thinking, was I want to give a performance, and my participation in this remake, as iconic as it is to the fans, like I want to give them something that they want, that they care for, and what they're passionate about. So, you know, the fans for that were everything for me.
Yeah. Awesome. What does the real Nick Newell think about this movie? Did he make it on set? Did anyone get to talk to him?
I didn't get to speak to him personally on set. We've chatted recently. We've connected. I've spoken to him. He loves the film. You know, he thinks it's great. And he really feels that we did his story justice. He told me a few things within the film, right, that were like dramatized, that happened or didn't happen as it was scripted, you know, and obviously that's the Hollywood interpretation of things, right? We need to make things a little bit more dramatic to fit inside the cinematic world. But no, I've spoken to him. He's a great guy. Honestly, him and I get along really, really well. So I'm happy that he's watched the film and you know, he enjoys it. He's proud of it.
Very cool.
Yeah, Marcus Allen and I did a podcast recently, and he actually called in, and it was one of the dopest experiences I ever had. I don't want to give nothing away about the film, but he was talking about specific parts of it, and very much was said we did it justice, and the characters that we played. So,
right on. It's much better than the alternative, right?
Mm-hmm.
The crowd that's in this scene right here, we're watching a high school event. Are those extras? Are those locals from Jackson, or have they brought in?
I think some were locals. I think some were probably professional people, but I think it was a lot of the kids. Some of the kids, and I don't know that world that much, but I think they were.
Yeah, I want to say they were all locals, except probably some of like the wrestling guys. But even then, probably within like 2 or 3 hours.
Got it. And we have confirmation from Forcier.
Sally. Yeah. Hi, Sally.
Oh, hi, Sally. Thank you for helping out with some of that behind the scenes info. How many days shoot was this project? Because usually with these smaller films, it's you're kind of in and out in just a few weeks.
Yeah, it was less than a month, for sure. Less than a month.
Got it. Sally's saying Folsom. Shout out to Folsom. I know that area. Wonderful lake out there.
All those guys were so cool. Everybody on the wrestling team was really cool.
We already have people wanting to know if there's talk about making a second movie.
Barry, you had mentioned this actually.
Well, I just when Cody and I ran into each other at the theater the other night, and I just was really blown away by what I saw, and I thought, boy, what about a sequel? What about life after the championship for a guy like Nick Newell? Well, there's a great story there. There really is, because he's kind of back to square one, and that's the case with a lot of champions, let alone a guy with Nick, who had this disability that he can't do this forever. What do you do with the rest of your life? And he certainly has the heart of a champion. I'd like to know. I'd like to see that film, actually.
It's cool. I know that he has like his own gym open right now, and he's training young fighters. He's working the corner for some guys that I think his gym trains and sponsors. So it's really cool to see him as an older fighter kind of giving back and contributing, to the world that he fell in love with. It's really, really cool.
And it's a tricky thing psychologically for a champion to sort of have to take it down a notch, because your body physically is not going to respond the way it should, and when you're in your 20s. So, that it's a big emotional adjustment, and sort of mirrors a lot of actors' work that myself included, that hit it really big when I was young, and then after that, you're trying to find your way back into acting or a new profession, but it's hard to put all that fame and all the things that come with it, just compartmentalize it in your head, and then it's not just was a moment in time, and now you got to get on with your life.
Still, though, the longevity aspect of you and your career, man, is astounding.
Yeah, it is astounding.
And you look good, Barry. I like the chrome dome.
Yes, the Lord himself came down and gave me this buzz cut about 35 years ago, and it's stuck. And there was a moment in time, in fact, that came across today where I was losing my hair, and I was like, I kind of look young still. I don't want to be that old guy, and just came across a toupee actually that I wore ever so briefly in a couple projects, and then I went, screw this damn thing. I'm not gonna fiddle with that. And so it was a blessing actually in disguise, because I wound up playing a lot of doctors and lawyers and scientists and people way smarter than I really am.
Barry, what was one of your favorite roles that you ever played? I know that's like such a broad question, but off the top of your head, like you had a role or a character or something that they've done that you got to do, that you got to represent, that was just kind of like... Yeah.
Well, early on, I cannot not say My Three Sons and playing Ernie, because that was so iconic and so formidable in my life. Afterwards, I did the very first thing I did afterwards, oddly enough, was a musical. It's a big hit musical. I made it to Broadway, I think, definitely off Broadway. It was You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, and I played Linus, and I did it for Hallmark Hall of Fame. And again, I look at it, singing, dancing. It was quite a challenge and a departure from what I had been doing, and sort of led me in the direction of what I wanted to do, which was pursue a stage career, which is what I did in my mid-20s. I went to New York and worked on Broadway and off Broadway in some productions. So, but more recently, probably Argo was a great project to be involved in, and certainly The Social Network. I've worked with David Fincher.
Great film. Great film.
Yeah, and again, not huge roles, but they were prominent enough to people would go, "Hey, weren't you that computer expert guy?"
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah, that's the long and the short of it. But this has been Notorious Nick is the best. It's been really the treat. And Bosch has been fun too. I've been doing Bosch a few seasons of that. So that's such a great show. So I'm very grateful that I segued into that. But that's gone now.
Barry, you've done TV series. Cody, you've certainly done TV series. Cameron, have you booked any series?
No, not TV series. Theater, films, commercials, indies, shorts. That's right. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna add that to the list soon.
For sure, it's already done. He's got it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. When I saw Cameron and he's just a beautiful man, physically, spiritually, a great actor. I just went, this guy's got it all. There's nothing that's going to get in his way. You're going to hear big things from him, very soon. And same goes for Cody. It's just onward and upward for these guys.
Thank you. You as well, sir.
Let's see. I know there are a whole bunch of questions. I'm trying to scroll back because I want to make sure. Einerth, I don't think I got to this question. Would you say that this movie proves that everything is possible despite all obstacles? I would definitely think that this is a perfect film for that.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much on the nose, perfect exemplification of theme and what the message of this film is. Regardless of the circumstances that life has kind of dealt you, you choose to overcome it. You just kind of adapt and keep moving with it. And it kind of just shows you again, you're only as good as you think you are, and most people can take outside perception on themselves and their own journey and have that kind of affect them and what they're doing. So yeah, very, very powerful message, but at the root of it, very inspirational.
Yeah, it's interesting because this is the second ultimate fighting type movie that I've had on the watch parties, and I never got into it, didn't understand it. It seemed kind of just violence, but I loved wrestling as a kid. And I think when you kind of hear the stories of the people who are in this world, why they do it, the work that goes into it, I think you get like an appreciation for something you never were into before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, I knew very little. I mean, I'd seen MMA, but I didn't really, I didn't focus on it at all until Notorious Nick. It just maybe was a little too violent for my personal taste, But again, the beauty, I think, of this movie, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Nick Newell certainly popularized. I don't know if he was the first guy to really, really make wrestling the centerpiece of his fighting style. But that's the way it is now, I think. I did go to a couple of MMA matches, and I was really surprised at how quickly they strike each other, strike standing, and then they're both trying to get each other down to the mat to wrestle and to choke the guy out. It's much easier to do that than knock a guy out with your fists, which I think that used to be what MMA was mainly about. But I believe Nick maybe was the guy who made that kind of let's do this because it really works.
I mean, there was like a rich history in it, right? But it really, I think, the sport was changed when like the Gracie brothers of like jiu-jitsu kind of came into the mixed martial arts world. Because before that, right, it was just, to your point, guys standing up, striking, and like, I don't know if I can swear, beating the crap out of each other. And then this guy's like, they showed up in like their little gis, right? And then they just pretty much immediately just started taking guys to the ground, and nobody knew how to defend it. And then they just submitted like opponent after opponent after opponent. So it became like a crucial part of like the mixed martial arts scene is like working the ground game. And the best way to transition into, standing up to being able to do some sort of jiu-jitsu is wrestling, right? Because you need to know how to control somebody and get them to the ground. So it's it's crazy, man. There's the history of like MMA and just fighting in general. It's such a culturally like rooted sport. It's cool just to kind of be a part of and participate.
Yeah. And Cameron, for you with your wrestling background, was it was it fun to be able to go back and do some of the moves that you knew, and how was it incorporating fighting into that?
Most definitely. I mean, Cody kind of just said it right now. I have a line in the movie where I go, wrestling is something like the wrestling is the best foundation to start with, and it really is. You can throw a punch, but if I got you on the ground right on top of you, you really can't throw a punch from there. So, to me, it was really like going back to high school, and to be able to put throw the straps back on and get back on the mat. It was funny because during the takes, us, me, Cody, and the rest of the wrestlers, we would like have our own little matches too. So like their squad against our squad, and we had a lot of fun just playing in between. But it was nice to bring the wrestling back from my high school, and yeah, definitely about mixed martial arts, but also about like Cody's relationships. What he did an amazing job in. So it's like you can be a fighter fan, but you can also just be a fan of like his relationships with his mom, his coach, his dad, his best friend. It was that was my favorite part to watch.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a few people out there whose experience with wrestling is an older brother or sister. That was me. That's the extent of my wrestling profession, was getting my butt kicked from my older brother.
Yeah, I got 4 brothers, so it was definitely a rough house for sure.
Cody, Barry, you guys have siblings?
I have one older. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Cody. Yeah, we'll go to Barry.
Yeah, so I have one older brother. He's 3 years older than me. That's it. Just one little sibling.
Yeah, I got 2 brothers ahead of me and a brother and sister behind me, so I'm right in the middle. And I took my licks going back to public high, because there's nothing like being famous as a child actor and then showing up at a public school.
Do people make fun of you?
Oh hell yeah!
Really?
God. Well, the kids at that age, particularly high school, junior high was actually really brutal. High school kind of mellowed out, but they don't know how to deal with you, And you're all going through all your other issues when you're young teenager.
Yeah.
And so it was very confusing, wondering whether people wanted to know me because they wanted to know Barry, or they wanted to get to know Ernie, or for whatever reason. And some kids take out their love. They take their love out on you with their fists. It was a little bit, and I'm not a huge guy either. So I really got good at running. I really, learned how to fight or flight, and I chose flight most times.
Coming soon, the Barry Livingston story. He was a middle child.
Little did they know he was beaten to a pulp as a little boy. No, it was okay, But my brothers were pretty kind to me, actually, and I didn't whip up on my younger siblings either.
Barry, if you ever do a biopic, can I play you?
Yes, I'm giving you absolute permission right now.
Cody, are you willing to shave your head?
Oh yeah.
Well, I wasn't born this way. I mean, the early years, I had a pretty good head of hair. And if anything, you can do my toupee years. You can go in that and just say you wore a toupee.
There you go.
Yeah.
Janice wants to know if there was a blooper reel. We always love those kind of questions with a movie like a series like this. Blooper reel, or anything unexpected that happened that kind of just you couldn't continue the scene, you were laughing, or it was too hard, or anything like that?
Yeah, there were so many. That's funny. We should actually reach out and see if they can get us one, because there has to be one. Because I know personally, I did a lot of funny stuff. There was one that was so funny, dude. There was it was Kevin Pollak, and they had him like filming reactions, right? Because like he came in a day when we didn't have the octagon and like the big crowd, so they just kind of went in and did like a close-up reaction. So they built this little makeshift like back room essentially and put a few extras around him, and he was going through all of his reactions to me fighting in the championship fight. And in the middle of his take, I like slipped in there, and I was sitting behind him while he was commenting on everything that I was doing. And then right before I like won the fight, I like came in and said something. It was hilarious, man. We got to fight. I don't know who we can reach out to, but we got to see if we can get like a little gag reel put together.
Whoever's in charge, whoever's got all of that. Did Kevin Pollak do his William Shatner impression at all through the at any point?
I don't know. I didn't even know he did a William Shatner impression, to be honest with you. I didn't see it.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't hear him. Yeah, I didn't hear him do it. And I honestly, I know him as an actor mainly, and then I kind of learned after the fact that he's a great mimic. So I didn't see him or hear him do anybody.
That's right. Yeah, and Christopher Walken. I know it's amazing these kind of talents we have. Like Cody, you doing music. How long have you been doing music?
It's something I've been playing around with for the last couple of years, I would say. I've always been kind of passionate about it, just the idea of creating. A large part of me not pursuing it full force was just the amount of time that I would be able to invest. I had so much going on in just like the acting world and trying to build a foundation there and feel comfortable, you know, where my career was. But as of just recently, I've been able to kind of take some spare time and put it into other things. And one that I chose is music. And it's very cool because I can kind of see the journey that I took in my acting career, right? From when I first started and was learning the craft to my comfortability and then my, I guess, creativity and what I'm willing to kind of do now. And it inspires me to kind of see the same journey with the music, almost getting to like recreate and relive that creative exploration and discovery and learning something, you know what I mean, in terms of expression. So yeah, I'm super stoked about it.
It's super good, man. You know, I mean, I when I heard the song at the end, I think they play a little of it in the trailer too.
Oh, really?
Oh, cool. You know, because I advocated a lot, you know, and you're kind of always limited by how much money you want to spend on music.
For music.
You know, and then it's like, you know, it's a lot of money. So, but in the trailer, I heard it and went, oh, cool, man. That's like a very modern kind of hip hoppy, cool tune. And then I didn't know it was Cody. I just thought it was some artist I wasn't familiar with. And then I always read the credits at the end. And I went, holy crap, that's Cody. Hey, fantastic. You know, cool. I'm a musician. I don't, you know, I play piano and guitar and write too. So
I love that.
Not that style, but still, man, it was very impressive. You should follow that. Keep on that.
Thank you. I will for sure.
It's awesome. And then Cameron, didn't you, you've got a background in poetry, right?
I did a poetry out loud in high school because I was forced to. It was one of the first things I did to get me out of my comfort zone. My teacher made me do it. And,
wow.
That was like my first little glimpse of this whole, you know, arts, because that was not what I was like growing up. It was one of the first times I realized that there was a way for me to express myself and be vulnerable while still like not really being myself just yet. I wasn't comfortable with that just yet. So yeah, poetry was one of the first ways that I wouldn't call myself a poet because I don't write, but it was definitely a way that I was getting arts.
Yeah, out of your comfort zone, you do.
Real quick,
yeah. Oh, go ahead,
Loren. When Barry, when that end credit came up, because I didn't know either that they was going to use Cody's song. I would ride back with Cody from set sometimes back to the hotel, and that's when I found out that he was a rapper as well with his music. He would show me. I was like, oh, dude, like you need to pursue this. So when it started, like I remember hearing his voice when he raps. So when that started, cool. I was like, yo, come on, is that Cody? And then it came up too. So I had the same moment, Barry, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm happy that they did that.
Yeah, you know, again, it's he's writing from the character, you know, and the song. I can't. I'm not a rapper. I can't do it for you, but nonetheless, it was. We'll ask Cody to do it when he gets back. But it was hip, man, you know, and this is a hip movie. It's the young people who love MMA are hipsters, you know. They're young people with like the modern sounds, and my fear was that they were going to get caught up in too much ZZ Top and Metallica, which is my era. I like that. But I just thought, man, let's get some hip hop, let's get some rock and banging, hip hop, and aggressive. It's an aggressive sport, and I think that would be cool. And I was so happy to see Cody's song in there.
Yeah, same.
Sally's calling you out, Barry, for your guitar playing and singing.
Yeah, we would always, when you're doing a film, and I've always, it sort of builds a camaraderie, and it makes it. We'd have parties every night, parties that you could, not raves, but after work, the cast were staying on a hotel crew. We all met around the pool and have a few beers, and it always seems to kind of warm things up if somebody brings a guitar down, and so I was the guy who would bring down my guitar and go over in the corner and sing a few folk songs, sing Puff the Magic Dragon for everybody.
Wow.
It really go back a ways. No, my repertoire is a little more modern than that. But I could do Puff the Magic Dragon if it was requested. But it was fun, and that's a cool thing to do. I mean, other films I've worked on, you find other people who can play and sing, and and it helps. Your idle hours, you got something to do, because sometimes when you're working, you have some downtime. So it was really fun.
Barry, I have video evidence of these magical concerts of yours, so I'm gonna have to send that to you. That was definitely the highlight of the backyard.
Please,
barbecues
please do.
in the back. Definitely.
Yeah. No, it was a gas, and again, some people dig it and get into it, and some people probably wish I'd shut up and go away, and but I ignore all those people and just keep on plowing forward with my old folk rock tunes. So slip an original or two in there, maybe too.
So Cody's stepped away. I know a lot of people in the chat want to ask him about Teen Wolf. They want to ask him about his other shows. Boy, Cameron, Barry, would you like to do some PR?
I did a Teen Wolf.
I've done
a lot of things. I did an episode of Teen Wolf. Not working with Cody though. It was with Dylan. I forget his name, but Dylan somebody. Very popular kid too. Not a huge role, but I was there and did one, so it was fun.
Nice. So there's some terms in the business of under 5 where sometimes you are cast as a character with speaking role, but very few lines. Barry, I'm assuming you've done everything from under 5s to guest stars to.
Never done under 5s. Yep, sorry.
Oh,
I brought the donuts and I brought my guitar, but I'm not an under 5 guy.
All right. So for Cameron, what should he do so he can start working his way up through getting his own series?
You're asking
Talk
me?
to me, Barry.
Yes.
He's doing everything right. He's doing theater, and and you keep busy, you keep being visible. I think this is a lucky big break for him and for me, honestly, to do a film that came out this well, and hopefully we'll get great word of mouth. Everything that I've seen is good, and so I think Cameron, it's just a matter of being in the right place, right time. It's luck plus preparation. It's opportunity and preparation equals luck, and you need a lot of luck in this business. So I think if you can combine those two, eventually you'll rise to the top, and it's just a matter of time.
All right, Cody's back.
Yes, all right, sorry about that.
No worries. Cody, I took the liberty of having Barry and Cameron fill in your fans about your next projects, what you're up to, what your base rate is for your next project. So I hope you don't mind.
Yeah. No, Barry and I, we've had this conversation, so I hope you picked the higher number, right?
I said pay you in Bitcoin. That's all you're interested in from now on. Bitcoin and donuts.
So yeah, I figured, Cody, if you're able to stay on till the end or whenever before you go, definitely want to. The fans would love to know what the projects you're working on and some of their shows. So if you're cool to just before you go, we'll spend a couple minutes so they can find out where they can see you next. But for now, I just want to, hopefully we can just talk about this project, other projects you've worked on. Your DP for this did some amazing work. How was the choreography with the training and the fighting?
I mean, we kind of figured it out on the fly, you know. I mean, we did have stunt rehearsals, and we were very communicative between, you know, camera department, the director, our DP, what we were filming as far as, you know, the physical stuff. There were a lot of instances where, you know, people got hit, cameras got punched. But, you know, it's a process. You kind of figure it out. But it was all done very strategically. I know it kind of can seem chaotic like this, but everything was shot like that for a reason, in order to tell the story and to make it look as good as it could be.
It was Brian Ham. Is that, am I right with this last name? Brian Ham was the cinematographer, the DP. Yeah, had a great Dean Takuno did the lighting, and
he was cool, man.
Everything about the movie that these guys, the superior skills of our behind the scenes wizards, really brought it. You know, I mean, you can ruin a movie if it's not shot right, if it's not lit right. You know, no matter how good the actors are, if they don't look right on screen, you know, well, you know, it's just diminished what could be. And all those guys brought it. They were terrific.
For sure. It's definitely like a passion project.
Some important people. Ian Webb, the editor.
Sorry, go ahead. Cameron, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, you can definitely see, talking what we're saying, you can definitely see their work and the way they handle things with the fighting scenes. Like those, you've seen so many scenes before shot where you're like, what's trying to happen right here? But I think with ours, it was just done amazing. I love the way they shot our fights.
And the ultimate, you know, shout out needs to go to our director, Aaron Leong, who, you know, he's the maestro. He's the guy who really has to set the shots and, you know, and finesse the scenes and make sure, you know, everything is coming together well. So I think he did a fabulous job, you know, given some of the limitations of budget and all that. You know, kudos to Aaron and Mark DeSalle, who was a producer of Bloodsport, right? Which maybe was one of the seminal first, you know, MMA, big, brutal boxing movies. So, you know, I think he had a good eye for what looked good on screen. Yeah, you know, and of course, Aaron, again, my Sally Forcier is telling me that Aaron was a DP at one point, probably still is a director of photography, is a DP. So, you know, he had a lot of skills as a director that he brought to it as well. But, you know, it was a pleasure working with all those guys.
I'm going to hire Sally just to help me with research for all of these watch parties. Thank you.
Yeah, be careful. She's listening. She's watching.
I know she is. Hold on. There was a comment from Janice. She wanted to know what the audition process was like for this particular film.
Should I go first?
Yeah.
Did you even audition, Barry?
No.
Yeah.
No. That doesn't happen a lot. You know, it happens.
See the difference right there between a veteran, somebody that's still on their way up?
No, you know, it doesn't happen that frequently. It happens occasionally, and usually when it does, it's something really good. Oddly enough,
yeah.
I don't know why that is. Because, you know, sometimes you have to audition for a piece of crap for like ever, and you just go, am I still trying to chase this turd?
Yeah.
And, you know, but, you know, that's the nature of the business sometimes. But in this case, it was a real gem. So I was very fortunate.
For sure. I mean, I was on like one of the last rounds of auditions, you know. I was down here in LA. So I went over to like Warner Brothers to Gary Zuckerbrod and Camille Thomas over there. And so I read with them, but they had auditioned everybody
really,
you know, with the disability first, trying to find like, you know, the person that they wanted. So on like the last round of casting, I got sent the script. I really fell in love with it, did a lot of work, a lot of research right off the bat, and just kind of went in there and gave it my all performance wise. And I think I was able to like capture something that they were looking for. They gave me a call back, came back in, read it a second time. And then I got on the phone with the producers. I believe it was Howard and Mark. And I never really done this before, but I was super blunt and bold about it. I just told, I was like, look, like I want this really badly. And I feel like I can do the role justice. And I don't think there's anybody right here, right now that can do this like better than me. And they're like, are you sure? And I was like, yes. And they're like, okay. And, you know, somehow, some way it all worked out in my favor. And I had the opportunity to tell the story.
Yeah, that you know, that direct approach occasionally is the best. Sometimes you got to be careful, because then sometimes you don't want to look desperate. But you know, in the room, like I really need this. Although I did that when I read for Argo, and I had never, you know, I didn't know the story. I didn't know the story of the Iranian takeover of the embassy, and 6 employees escaped and were loose in Iran and the Tehran, and that the CIA posed as filmmakers and went into Iran and rescued them. And the casting lady, you know, told me the story, and it went, oh my God! I was like, you're kidding! I'm going, I got to be in this movie. I mean, that's one of the few times I did that begging, not quite begging, but I went, that's going to be a great movie if they don't screw it up. That is a great movie. I want to be in part of this so bad, and luckily it worked out. Most of my scenes got cut though, so
that sucks. That's kind of how this project felt, right? Is like from when I read the script, I got that feeling of like, all right, like I have to be involved in this. You know what I mean? And then it kind of just like evolved and progressed. And then first day of set, you know, we get the shots done, and I think everybody starts to feel, you know, the crew and everybody are like, okay, you know, this is something, this could be something. And then I just think like week by week, as the momentum progressed in our favor, just everyone kind of bought in more and more. And it just became like a piece of work that has a lot of quality, because a lot of quality was invested.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, guess what? We have another guest joining us. Cameron, hold on a second. All the way from somewhere. Hello, Elisabeth. Welcome.
Hi, you guys. It's so good to see
Hi, Liz.
you.
Hello. Hi.
I'm sorry I'm late to the party. Cody, you killed it.
Thank you. You too.
Good to see everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Elisabeth. Rumor has it you were stuck in an out burger line for a couple of hours. Is that true, or are those just rumors?
It's so true. I was building muscle so I could be as strong as my son here. I was getting some protein.
Well, thank you for being here. Right before you came on, Elisabeth, you might have heard we were everybody was talking about auditions and auditioning for a project, but wanting it really bad and doing something above and beyond. I'm sure with your background, there's been some projects that you've auditioned for that there was something about the story that really captured you. Anything come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, you know, American Hustle for sure was that kind of audition for me. David O. Russell and the whole team was nominated for an Oscars for Silver Lining, and so my audition had to happen simultaneously, as they were all getting quite a lot of attention. So I couldn't have wanted that more. But you know, back to Notorious Nick, you know, I just remember meeting Cody for the first time and just us talking. Remember, we sort of sidebarred. And we were like, we're just going to make this the best thing we've ever made, ever, above anything we've ever done. And I think that that type of commitment is what's required to make something so special. I mean, we've all waited so long for this to come out. So anyway, but I would say American Hustle. Yeah.
Very cool. And then Cameron, I think you were going to share something. I want to know if there's a project you went above and beyond to get.
I was gonna share, this one. This one was really a story of like knowing the right people at the right time. Sadly, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they were having a bit of an issue trying to find the right person to cast for Abby. And I think she was having a conversation with a friend of mine who is a great photographer in the Bay Area, Lisa Keating. And I don't know how the conversation got, but she brought me up. She was like, oh, like I think she just did my headshots or something like that. I was like, oh yeah, you know, you could take a look at this guy. And she looked at me and she was like, oh, okay, yeah. Send him so this wasn't through like the regular means of getting an audition. This was through a conversation with a friend who gave them my headshot, and she hit me up, and I fell in love with it. And I definitely like went to the people who I trust when it comes to, putting out my best work, and met with her, I think 3 times to finally get the sign off on it. So it wasn't a Barry situation when they hit me up and was like, oh no, we want you. I had to kind of work for it, but it was good. I mean, look who I'm sitting with right now. So
that's awesome. Elisabeth, I don't know if you're streaming the movie. We're at the 48-minute 34 mark, and Barry's giving another one of his amazing coach speeches.
Wait, where are you at?
We're in the bar. Yeah, we're in the bar.
48 minutes, 47 seconds.
I'm at 36. How did that happen?
You went to the bathroom. That's why.
Oh, your video must have paused every time you go off. Now, who knows?
Barry, we all could use a Barry Livingston in our lives to be our coach and inspire us to greatness, personal greatness. Yes, I'm sure.
Oh, geez. Wow. Well,
all right.
Again, this is getting nauseating, but I just, you come to a film, you get cast in it, and again, I was just asked to be in it, and it was like, wow, okay, I think maybe they think I was Charlie Martin Smith or somebody. I have this insecurity. They always think they're casting somebody else, and then I get on set and I go, oops, that guy we cast. I thought we got the other guy. We got Bob Balaban. I thought, but anyway, when I saw Elisabeth show up, and I just went, oh my God, this woman's a force of nature. I just, I wasn't that familiar. I'd seen American Hustle, obviously. That was great. I didn't see Law and Order, and I know that's what everyone kind of connected you to, most people. But I just went, holy crap, this movie gets better and better. Because you came in maybe about a week or 2 after we were there. I'd already seen Cody killing it every day. And saw, Cameron, what he was doing, going, these are really good people. And of course, Elisabeth shows up, does her thing. I think it was like the first scene you were in the audience, and you were watching him fight, and I just see tears coming down your face. I'm going, damn, how do these people, they're so good. They're such professionals. They just do it crazy. Like boom, like that. Sorry.
This is crazy. We met like 60 seconds, like 2 minutes before we did that film, or before we did that scene.
I saw a photo of you and I like standing there holding up your belt. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it just brought tears to my eyes. We really connected really fast. It was great. Sorry for my insane dog, by the way.
What kind of dog is it?
So sorry.
Yes, we want to see your dog. Feel free to.
He'd like to be seen as well. He'd like to be seen. He thinks he's the star of the show. Oh my God.
That's awesome. Hey, does anybody speak French?
Yet.
Yeah, it's Russian. Nobody does. All right. I'm sorry, Axel. Nobody speaks French, and he's wanted to say hello, but I think he only speaks French. So
bonjour.
Bonjour. Comment allez-vous?
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
I would say ask your question and put it in Google Translate, and then we'll share it.
Now, is Notorious Nick available overseas now? I mean, it's because it's on Amazon and all these platforms. They're international. Can it be seen in France and Australia and around the world yet?
I'm waiting for Sally. Will probably have the answer.
Mark Allen would probably know, or somebody.
Yeah, Mark. What's up? What's up, Mark?
Hey,
I want to know when this will be available to stream. So I get asked that question a lot.
Oh, it is now. I mean, I've seen it here, and I know it's on Amazon Prime. I watched it with some people the other night, but I guess that travels instantly around the world, correct? I mean,
for sure.
Yeah.
Sally, there we go. Sally says it's in process.
In process. Okay, well, cool.
And then Clotia says not in Germany so far. It's interesting. I have a neighbor of mine who's a film director and a film writer, and you have to make deals for all different places, parts of the world. Your film has to have a deal made for North America, for Scandinavian countries, for Europe, for individual countries. So it's the behind the scenes work that you don't have to deal with, that I'm sure Sally does as an EP, it's got to be a lot of paperwork.
Well, I'm sure it is.
Sally says yes. I mean, we don't see her, but I'm sure she's nodding yes.
Well, I'd actually heard that it got a foreign distributor first, and I think it was Grindstone, which is part of Lionsgate, I believe. And I wasn't sure if Lionsgate was going to be involved in the domestic release, but again, I'm probably screwing it all up. I'm sure Sally probably knows way more than I do. And Mark.
Do you want to talk about, we're at the 53-minute mark, and we're just seeing a lot of fast cuts between Cody's character working out, cutting in between being in the ring. I always love these kind of quick cut scenes. What was working out, Cody, for this movie like? Did you have to keep working? Were you working out through the whole movie? Do you still work out like you did?
I definitely don't still work out like that. That was different, just a level of intensity. There's a lot of training leading up to the film, and then honestly, once we started filming, the first like 2 weeks was everything physical, like every fight, all the training stuff. So just filming and being on set kept me pretty active. And I think it also kept me like injury free for the most part. I got a few things happen, but with that much physicality, 10 hours a day, every day for 2 weeks, like you just kind of run a risk of something bad happening. So, it helped me stay active, stay healthy. And then after those 2 weeks, when we got into the rest of the film, I don't think I worked out for like a month straight after that.
Cody, what was the one food item that you like went right back to after working out?
Here's the thing, right? Is that like I didn't really have to diet much at all for anything. I was just moving, so I was burning 2,000-3,000 calories a day, like no joke. So I was pretty much just eating. If anything, I needed to eat more. Like I was just eating anything and everything I could get my hands on, and it still wasn't enough. Like I think I ended up just in that time period alone, I dropped like 10 pounds. I'm not even joking.
You're so lucky.
Was it amazing for you, Cody, to see yourself with all the special effects and like really see it all come together? It must have been pretty emotional. Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I tripped out because I've seen the film right in different stages all the way through. Like I saw like rough cuts of scenes all the way back when it was just the green sleeve to like, temporary VFX shots. So like what you're seeing now, like watermark removed, color corrected, sound design, like everything. In each evolution, every step that it's taken, it's kind of been, cooler and cooler. I thought about it, it's been, 4 years. To sit on a project for 4 years and to finally have it come out and for it to be polished and put together and presented in the right way. It was such an experience going and seeing the film with Barry, because there's just this like this closure about it. It's not like done until it can be seen, right? And this film was one of those films where just the experience was elongated, and it took 4 years to see it, but definitely worth it.
Yeah, this was one of the ones I've always was kept, asking, keeping tabs on and asking, when's it coming out? When's it coming out?
Yeah.
So rarely, a film of this budgetary level, rarely do those films get a theatrical release, and particularly sadly in the days of the pandemic, we're really kind of starving for product for the theaters, other than gigantic Marvel movies and that. So I was blown away, that Lionsgate decided to actually release it in select theaters around the country, and I think it's testimony to how good the product is. I think the producers, came through and they delivered, and I think CGI, was a big obstacle, kind of working on the arm. And, that worried me, but it's out of my hands. I can only worry so much. And I go, well, yeah, I hope they get it done, and kept to try and keep in touch with people. But I was thrilled to see how well it came out and actually get into a movie theater, and now being released on video. I think DVD and Blu-ray come out August 17th for sale. And right now you can rent it on Amazon, at least in my area in California here you can, but other places too.
The big question is has it been
man, 'cause I know
available
we
at the
had-
drive-in?
What's a drive-in?
They're
There's a
coming back,
drive-thru.
Barry.
I think it's at my Starbucks, the drive-thru. I saw it. I was at an Arco filling up the station, and they have the little TV screen now. And I was like, hey, wait a minute. It's right on the TV. I'm joking. No, not on the gas station pumps yet, but soon.
Jan wants to know if Cameron, you got to keep the Harley. That's
It's in my driveway right now, actually.
Usually you get like jackets or pencils on a film set, but motorcycles not usually.
Pencils. Though.
Yeah, I had in my writer that I could keep that one.
A question for Elisabeth: what was your favorite scene to film?
I think watching Cody win or Nick win and coming and joining him in the center of the cage. I mean, I'm a mom, and I think sharing in that moment of, a long journey of trying to inspire your child, or at least support your child who has a dream of their own, and just standing by their side. It was just such a relief and such an emotional moment that really sticks with me. But every scene with Cody really sticks with me. I love acting with him, and but that's the payoff, right? That's the payoff moment.
The scene that's actually playing right now, I mean to like interject, but it's the scene where you're in front of the panels, like the judges, right? And you're like giving your side of the story, your speech. It's excellent. So many great performances, and it's like you bring so much in like this minimalistic fashion. It's like it's so cool. You killed it. You really did.
Oh, she's a tigress.
Yeah,
just a sheer tiger. And it's that energy. It's a mother protecting her cub. It's that kind of ferocity, but it's grounded and rooted in reality, and very relatable. And I'm sure any mother who's got a child that they love, who's in any kind of potentially dangerous situation, would completely relate to Nick's mom and Elisabeth's performance. It's really great. I'm watching it now.
She's about to say that line. She's like, I'm not making threats. I'm making promises.
I'm making promises.
Yeah, that was I love that line. Elisabeth, you killed that.
Elisabeth, do you want to give us a preview of your Oscar speech now, or do you want to work on it for a few minutes?
Maybe I'll work on it when my dog isn't distracting me.
Well, hey, now we've been released in the theater for 1 week, so doesn't that make us eligible for an award? Isn't that one of the criteria? It's got to be in a movie theater for 1 week. So, let's not get ahead of the game here. But nonetheless, I thought.
Could you imagine? That'd be the craziest. That'd be the craziest story.
Wouldn't it? I mean, hey, just the music. I honestly, I think they're award-worthy performances, starting with Cody and Elisabeth and all that. But I thought, nominate Cody's song. I swear to God, no. If Eminem can get his song, and that was a fairly big hit movie, nominate the song at the very least that Cody wrote and performed at the end. I think it's worthy.
Listen,
be sick, man.
We've all been through a lot with this pandemic, and I think what the world needs now is inspiration like this performance, this person, this real human being that Cody portrayed, and everybody that surrounded him. And I feel like this is the most universal message right now. I don't think there's ever a time when any of us, no matter how strong we are, don't need to be reminded to, to go for the gold and never give up on our dreams. I was just looking at your Instagram, Cody, and it said happy, like we all need to feel like pushed and inspired. This is like our modern day Rocky. I do hope it gets the attention it deserves.
Absolutely. I
really think it's going to become like
Couldn't pick
one of those classic films in due time. I think it's going to secure its place.
Well, again, when a company like Lionsgate, God bless them, that they saw the quality, and I'm sure they understood the commercial potential, because they don't get involved in anything. Companies don't, unless they see that this is something that's, good for the bottom line. I think that's testimony to how good the product is. And sounding all technical, like I'm selling a pair of shoes right now, but it really soars, the film. And again, it's a story with heart. You can't get much more of an underdog than Nick Newell, and and the obstacles that he faced emotionally, physically, it's all there. So yeah, I early on kind of looked at it and went, this is an updated version of Rocky, and we'll see.
And they went on to make 400-500 Rocky movies, so you never know, there could be sequels.
I think it says a lot about, the film as a whole, the producers, their integrity, and Barry said, Lionsgate really acknowledging it. But when you portray a true story, a lot of the time the real life person doesn't like how it was portrayed. And Nick Newell is supportive of this film, and you can see that the level of that support really sort of shows that this film has a depth and a level of integrity to his true story that I think his support really speaks to.
He's a great guy.
Did you ever get a chance to talk to Nick at all?
I didn't. No. I mean, I was there so short, so fast. I was sad to leave. I was not there nearly long enough, but no, I never did. But so many times you see somebody step away from a film and say, "Hey, that's not my life." And I'm really excited that the producers really did him right, and he's been really pushing and supporting this film.
Yeah, that's cool to see. Your last day was my first day, so I got to see you right before you left.
Just the smoke of our departure and arrival crossing.
Can you talk about, Cody, this scene with this kid here? I know you had Jim Abbott, the baseball pitcher, in the movie earlier, and and that's right, Elisabeth is in this scene. So talk about that kid who seemed like he lit up that scene.
I mean, yeah, he was just he's a young, charismatic, natural born leader. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's this guy he's on a film set. He's pursuing his dream of wanting to be an actor. He's got his mom right next to him being super supportive. And, he was just, so like amazing spirit. He was like a young kid, but I felt like I was talking to an equal, I was very lucky to be able to just perform with him, hang out on screen with him. Great kid. His mom was awesome too.
It's, acting is, you can bring so much of your own self to a role in preparation. But boy, when you have somebody to play with, a team member that inspires you and gives you something like the little boy in that scene. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know his name. But how great is that? And thank God the casting, Sally and everybody, found great people for all of us to play with. And that's, can't ask for more than that in a movie.
So Aaron must be in the same In-N-Out Burger line as Elisabeth was rumored to be in. But thank you for at least listening to us, Aaron. It's a beautiful, great film. So thank you for putting this group together.
Hello, Aaron.
Hey, Aaron.
Near me in your vehicle.
Aaron.
Is that him? I thought I heard him.
And then we have another guest. Let's bring on, all the way from his room somewhere at a secret location, Mark S. Allen. How are you?
Hi.
He's coming right to the screen at us. Whoa, it was like 3D.
Hey, I've been listening to you guys from the beginning. I honestly have been drying tears. It is so joyful to hear you guys together and to see you together. And congratulations. What a beautiful thing you've created. It's great to see you.
Well, you are the ringleader, man. You pulled it together. You gotta get all the
part of the three-headed monster. The marked sandwich with Howard in the middle.
Yeah, well, you guys did it.
What a journey. Yeah. Nice to see you, Mark.
Yeah, likewise. I had a chance to do a couple movies with Elisabeth, and I hope by the end of my life I've done dozens with all of you. I love you guys so much.
Oh.
Yeah, Mark. Hey, what's up, man? Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too, man. I love that you two just kind of bumped into each other. Like publicists can plan for days to get two stars to walk into a movie together, but the fact that you and Barry just kind of, hey, what are you doing here? Ran into each other in Beverly Hills the other night going to the movie.
It's hilarious too, because like I was coming from dinner, right? So I was like 10 minutes late. Because in my mind, I was thinking like, oh, there's gonna be some previews for sure, and I don't think there were. No. But yeah, so I showed up late. So I walked into the theater. It was already dark. I watched the whole movie and I didn't know that he was there.
Well, I didn't know that was you because you travel incognito, I'm sure, to avoid being mobbed. And so I saw a bunch of young people came in. I nudged my wife and I said, oh, here comes Cody's fan club. They finally got here. And then, of course, it really was Cody with a bunch of his friends.
It really was his fan club. They were with him.
Yeah. It was friends of his. And then the writer, too, Darren.
Reed.
Reed, right. He happened to be in the audience, too. So it was actually a reunion of sorts of a few creative people. And what a fun moment to come out after we both saw it. And I didn't know it was Cody till I got into the lobby, and I went, "Oh, is that him?" Because you got the beard, and of course the mask, so you know who the hell you're talking to half the time. And and he had the ball cap on. And I went, "Hey, that is him. That is him." So it was like, "Yay! Love you, man. Great work."
Yes, see, Jan, that's what we love about these watch parties is people just show up. My mom's popped in randomly for a few of these watch parties. So.
Hey, where are we at in the movie right now?
Oh yeah. Mark,
I'm at like 109. Nice. The scene where Nick's about to go out, make his walk out for the last fight.
Yeah, 109. Yeah.
So Mark, you arrived in time to see your scenes.
Oh God, I'm leaving. See you later, pal. I wasn't supposed to be
there. You actually
I wanted
that,
the real
though,
announcer, and we had worked long and hard to get the real announcer who called.
There he is.
Yeah, there you go.
You did.
There he is, looking dapper.
Can I tell you just a really beautiful universe story? The guy sitting next to me is a guy named Gary Gelfand, who found out after he laid down his scenes those days, as he was driving home, that he had leukemia. For the second time. And I don't know if you know statistically where that puts you, but it's pretty grim. And as you know, this film took a while to finish. It had a couple obstacles. And the day that we got the final finished visual effects shot back, Gary called me and said, "Guess what? I'm in remission for good." So I love that story.
Wow. Very nice.
That's awesome.
Wow. That's awesome.
Wow. Well, unfortunately, Elisabeth, I think you have to go early, don't you?
I do, you guys, but I would not have missed stopping by and virtually hugging each of you. And just to the fans who are here, thank everybody so much for supporting us.
Yeah, you are.
Hey, congratulations on your directorial debut, Elisabeth. Awesome work. Keep it up.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks. Well, hopefully I get to direct this handful of amazing actors and just love you guys. And I just, here we go. Let's see how well this film does.
That's right, baby. Liz, send me a script. You know what I'm saying?
I can't wait. Cody, I'm calling you. Text me.
All right.
Is Girl in the Basement out, Elisabeth?
Girl in the Basement is still out. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's out. It came out. It did well. And then I have a second film I directed coming out in October called Switched Before Birth. So and Girl in the Basement is available on all the streamers. So thanks for mentioning it.
Yeah, and then do you have 30 seconds? Because I love the charity work that just happens and volunteer work. You're the co-founder and host of the Respect Project. You've also been involved in a lot of things. So can you just share some of your passion projects so we can follow you and follow these organizations?
Yeah, you guys thank you. That's so sweet. Cody knows all about it. The Respect Project is something I put together, which is a thought forum where I put panels together to talk about the essential topics of the time. During COVID, they became virtual. They're still virtual. You can go to www.therespectproject.org to learn more. We have 4 of them coming up in September, and the company just keeps growing. So I guess what we need to do is show each other a little bit more respect. And that's what we talk about. We're all different. The world is diverse. And that's what the Respect Project gets into.
Got it. Well, thank you for joining us for a little bit.
Yeah.
Go ahead and point the camera at your doggy. I will be totally cool.
Okay, say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Good to see you.
Bye, Liz. Good to see you.
All right. Awesome.
We're at the final fight, it looks like. Look at that.
What I
then,
love
you know-
about this fight is that we wanted to make a cinematic version of what that actually, we wanted to stay as authentic to the fight that inspired this whole movie that we all discovered Nick in. And I love how it's kind of a cinematic adaptation. It's not shot per shot, but when you see the real fight at the end of the movie, you go, oh my God, the cinematographers nailed it.
Yeah. And Sammy Horowitz was, his opponent, Rich Reynolds, right? That's the character's name.
Yeah, Sammy's the guy. Big shout out to Sammy.
Oh,
Sammy's great, and he, he's another guy that, looks like he'd tear your head off. He's the sweetest human being in the world.
He's a great physical performer. Did he ever make contact, Cody? Like, did any of those stage throws connect?
Oh yeah. But with love.
With love.
With love. I feel like
With
it's
commitment.
inevitable at a certain point.
Cody has some gnarly bruises.
Oh, I really did though. I really did. Worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just looks great. We wanted to make a
Did they
movie
have
that was more than an
on
MMA
set
film,
too,
but at the
something
same
like
time, MMA fans would know that we're not faking it. And like, just to see the bath of ice that Cody had to soak in at the end of each day, let you know that we weren't faking it.
Yeah.
And by we, I mean you. We're all in.
Yeah.
And same with you, Cameron.
Mark, I'm
I'd
really...
soak in a bath of ice too, but for
Thanks, Mark.
just to sober up.
Yeah, don't blame you.
Cameron, have you ever soaked in an ice bath for in preparation for a project?
I didn't get that.
I hated them. I was not a fan of ice and cold water like that, where you had to get all the way in. Yeah, I did that before for wrestling and jiu-jitsu, but not a fan. Yeah, definitely not a fan of that.
When I stayed with Nick doing some research early on in pre-production back east and went to his actual club, I dropped by and there were all these 32-gallon drums like that you just see like at a gas station or something with people hanging out in them. Like at the end of each day, like half of his fighters were dunked in these like matrix-like pods filled with ice. So I guess it's common to the sport. I
And
love that question.
Axel, thank you. See, you suggest Axel, thank you. I think he used Google Translate. Thank you for staying up at 4 a.m. to see you guys. That's really awesome. Thank you.
Oh wow. Hey Axel, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we've got people from all over the world hanging out with you guys tonight. So awesome.
Hey, Cody,
all
I
right.
wasn't on set that day with the
With
I was
on
gonna
this
say
fight.
real quick, Cody, I wasn't on set that day when you had the punching bag scene. But man, when I first got to watching the movie, that was incredible. I wanted to be on set that day. I didn't want to be a distraction, obviously but you killed that, man. That was amazing to watch.
Oh, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I mean, everybody kind of contributed. You know what I mean? There was no performance or anything in this film that I kind of did on my own. It was definitely a group effort all the way through.
I swear, Cody, it's like you popped up in the air. You did like a 180 with a punch.
Yeah.
That punching bag scene, that was probably one of my favorite days on set. I mean, I know it took a lot out of you, and because of Aaron and Brian got so many beautiful shots on that. But just seeing the reaction of people in Video Village, you knew that something authentic was happening on the mat. Did you, actors that go that deep get shaken for a while? Were you shaken for the better part of that day and into the next day from going that deep in that performance?
Nah, man. I mean, that's the thing, right? For me, everybody's process is different, but for me, it's like I was excited. I was going into it knowing that, like, all right, I'm about to dump it all and leave everything out there, and just to be able to have that moment of creativity and expression, it's cool because afterwards, in my opinion, if you've done it the right way, there's this like cathartic release that happens, after the performance, knowing that, okay, I went there and I felt that, and then being able to like separate and walk away from it, in my opinion, is the best part. And that's kind of how like I want to keep my career as an actor, is like, no matter how dialed in and prepped that I have to be, is at the end of the day, I really like to just like to leave it at work. That's why I like to drive to set all the time, because I love to get into my car and like listen to music, put the windows down, really decompress from the day of work, and just like leave it all like where it needs to be. You know what I mean? But thank you. That scene's like one of my favorite scenes too, for real, in like the whole film.
Yeah,
it's awesome. In post, it was very cool. There's a big debate in post as to whether, because what you did was so brilliant, we debated whether or not we should layer in those flashback scenes, just because we didn't want to take a frame away from what you were doing on the day. Yeah. Ultimately, I think it works. Barry wept for a week after you laid down that.
I'm still weeping. Still weeping. I haven't stopped crying 4 years later. No, that was a powerful moment, you know, and you can tell when it's authentic, when an actor's letting go, you know, showing it, you know, just really letting it go, you know, there's no holding back. And that was, you know, a moment, and great moments like that in movies. I've seen some. Jack Nicholson was famous for having his freak out, just blow ups, you know, let it all out. And it kind of reminded me of that in a strange way of, you know, seeing a performer just, you knew what he was letting go, you know, no words. I'm glad there was no words. It needed to be a silent scene, and it needed to be shot in a long shot, which is, I'm glad Aaron did that, because it makes it much more powerful.
Yeah.
The thing through the gate. Hey, I hate to go over stuff you've already talked about, but Cameron was on a sports radio show last week, and Nick called in. Have you talked about that at all?
Cameron,
very briefly.
No, yeah, you didn't bring this up.
No, Nick called. Speaking of weeping, Nick called in and gave Cameron a shout out, said a couple things.
Okay.
I don't know if Cameron can hear.
Cameron, can you hear us, bud?
Yeah. You guys, my video script, man. Can you guys hear and see me?
You're kind of cutting in and out.
Yeah, your video's a little weird, but we can hear you, Cameron.
That was a Mark. If I lose connection, just take over for me. But yeah, that was. I think things already passed now, so I can talk about it. But basically, Cody, he was just saying, you know, we kind of talked about it a little bit, but we did the story justice, and he was able. It made him go back to moments with his best friend, like somebody who he loved, and he could see that with me and you on the screen. And I mean, as an actor, man, you know this. When we play somebody who was real, who was on this earth, you want to give them justice. You want to make sure you put your time in and you know, do them right. So to have a person, you know, say what they said about our performance was it was thing here as Austin as a performer. So that was really special. I thank Mark for giving me with him. Yeah, I gotta hear it live.
That's so dope, man. Aaron,
yeah,
I saw a comment that Aaron just.
Nick wanted to point out that the most important thing about the movie was the legacy of his friend, and said that the movie captured that.
Love to hear that, baby.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron.
I really, Aaron, like,
did you guys see the comment from Aaron? And I love that script. Yeah, it said that you're punching a bag and yelling, why? So everything else in that scene you brought.
Yeah, because I'd spoken to, because it was such a powerful moment in the film, right? And it really is the catalyst for the second thing, like the big act of the, you know, him making the MMA journey and the fight to the champ. And it was scripted that it was just me by myself alone in the gym, standing in front of a heavy bag, throwing punches. And I feel like just cinematically that it's been done before, and we've seen that. We're like in the world of MMA, so I thought it'd be really cool to kind of like create some choreography using the little like dummy body bag, so that we could take it from like just take it on different planes. You know, it's like leaning up against the wall. It starts throwing kicks at it, starts throwing knees at it, punches at it, elbows at it, and then it gets to this point where it's just like an explosion, where he scoops it up and almost like suplex slams it to the ground. So it was really cool. It's like we got to create this fluidity and almost like a dance, and it kind of had its own, you know, more momentum, so to speak. It was really cool, and I'm glad that Aaron and everyone was on board with us kind of reimagining it, because I think the end result, how it turned out, just plays you know, it's played so beautifully in the film.
Absolutely. Someone just commented it was the worst scene in the movie. I hope they mean by worst, like the worst in terms of emotionally the worst.
Yeah, that's what
No,
I was
imagine
thinking.
there's like no.
I think that's a loss in translation. Kind of thing. No, I think the accent
Worst
that was
scene
the best. It was the hardest emotional scene to
That's what they meant.
Connect.
Yeah.
With.
Now, what's the
amazing,
story
Cody.
as far as Nick, a father figure for Nick? Because Barry, you really seem to be play a father figure part in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know that their relation. I didn't meet Jeremy, who was his real coach, and I kind of probably didn't want to. But certainly, you know, Nick's relationship with his real dad was strained at best, and you know, I was a mentor probably more than a father figure, but I guess that is a father figure of sorts. But you know, just personally, you know, as actors. You know, we very quickly decided, you know, privately, we talked and said, let's get together and rehearse scenes and talk about stuff and do as much as we can to, you know, to connect and bond. And it was, that was a very easy process. I think one of my favorite moments in the movie is the bar scene where the coach meets him after Nick gets his ass whipped and, you know, he's thinking about what he's going to do in his future. Anyway, they decide he's going to enlist the coach. But anyway, Cody and I knew where they were going to shoot it in Jackson, the location, the actual physical location. And so we said, let's go to the bar where, you know, let's rehearse it there. Let's go to the bar and we'll just, you know, sit at the bar, have a couple drinks and, you know, play the scene there. You know, and other patrons were in the bar probably wondering what we were doing, or maybe they didn't notice at all. But, you know, it was that kind of work that enriches scenes, makes them really much more than just showing up and reading the lines. And, you know, because it's what you're getting from the other human being sitting across from you is what hopefully you're receiving of that and giving back. And that's what acting is. That's what good acting is. And I felt that with Cody immediately. And you know, can do it with some people. Some people are not into that. So some people are pretty selfish, actually, when you're working with them. And if you're doing really good, sometimes they'll cough and say, I forgot my line. You know, I've heard that happen more than once, that an actor is really cooking in a scene and the other actor conveniently flubs his line. So,
it's so funny that you say that because I've actually experienced that. And it happens always when the camera's not even on them. And then they make a thing about like stopping and starting. I'm like, dude, it's not even on you. Like, we can just keep rocking with this. It's on me. Like, I've held it together. Just stop. That's so funny.
I have a, you know, story that I met Peter O'Toole once. A good friend of mine was working with him on The Stuntman, and we had dinner with Peter. Steve Railsback's my buddy. Anyway, so we went and you know, Peter had a couple drinks. He was feeling pretty good about himself, and he was talking about this kind of situation with your co-stars, and he was actually talking about Anthony Quinn. And he said, I was a young actor doing a scene with Anthony Quinn. I don't know what the movie was, but he said, you know, every time I'd get, you know, some momentum and some real emotion going, Anthony would go, oh, sorry, Peter, sorry, I forgot my line. I'll get it next time. And he did it repeatedly, so it was obvious. But then Peter said, but then we did Lawrence Arabia, and I was the star. In other words, he knew he wasn't going to. Quinn was in that movie too, and Quinn went, I can't do that to Peter anymore because, you know, he's number one on the call sheet, so you got to respect that.
That's funny.
And I would guess, Cameron, coming from live theater, you never stop down. You just pretend like there are no stops.
Oh man, Mark, we actually me and Cody had a conversation about this too, about the whole theater background stuff. Yeah, you don't, if you mess up, man, you yes and that. You skip a line, I was meant to skip that line on this round and keep walking with it. You don't stop. I want to tell a quick story about Cody Christian. Actually, it was my first day on set. I got there a day early before I had to do anything, just to kind of get the vibe. And this man had worked a full day. Everybody knows what that is, like a full day on set. And so I just introduced myself. You know, I'm gonna talk to him later, let him do his thing. he hits me, he lets me know, when he finished, like, hey man, if you want to, like, when we get back to the hotel, meet up in the back and grab a drink and just talk. I was like, yeah, for sure. This man, after a full day of work, sits down with me, grabs a beer, and goes over our scenes for the next day. And just like, I'm like, bro, you just worked. You sure you want to do this? He's yeah. Let's get a rhythm, talk about it, how you feel about this. So that alone set the tone for me about how this man is as a professional. And I think that also set the vibe for like the bond that they have, because he didn't have to do any of that. He could have went home went to his room and slept and laid down from a work day. So I really appreciated that.
Oh, dude. Well, it was reciprocated immediately. You know what I mean? Like, you could have very easily been like, nah, I'm good. So it's to Barry's point and Cameron's point, everybody was game for as much involvement as was deemed necessary to make the movie what it was. And I think that's what makes it special, because a lot of the times it can be that. It can be people showing up, reciting lines, getting paid. There's not a lot of love and passion that goes into it. And I think that's what separates this movie and makes it different and makes it worth watching.
Amen.
And Mark, coming from a similar background as me, as the on-camera host, when you're doing a live shot and you've got things happening around you, you don't get to take it again that often. So I'm sure you're experienced with that.
Yeah, I mean, crossing over into filmmaking 6 years ago, that was the first thing that blindsided me, is that everything, Loren, like you and I do, it's live TV. And it's there and boom, it's gone. And with film, it's kind of the opposite. There's an eternal setup before it happens. So every shot almost is more of an event.
There's a lot of waiting around. That's the thing you learn in TV and film production, a lot of waiting around and then action.
Well, and you for actors, you can waste an awful lot of time just sitting in your trailer, doing whatever you do in your trailer. And I come from a theater background. I know I started as a child actor on TV, but I consider myself a theater actor, and my training was sort of gearing me towards theatrical work on stage. So I love to rehearse, and if you can find somebody else that loves to rehearse, it's a beautiful thing for performers, because it's all about relaxation. Not all about it, but it certainly is a big part of the creative process. And when you can get with another actor, then you're on the same page and you've rehearsed, and there's an electricity that comes from that you can't get otherwise. And usually television is so rush, and so just the factory of cranking out the work. You don't have that luxury, and maybe sometimes people don't have that kind of commitment either. So this was not the case. Notorious Nick was not.
Well, we definitely want to get to the part that a lot of the fans have been waiting for. When Barry is going to bring that toupee out to show us, the one he wore a few times.
Okay, I just found it. Hold on. How much more time do we have?
I hope you're serious. I hope you're not joking.
I am damn serious. Are you kidding me?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
This is fantastic. What did I miss?
Mark, Barry had mentioned that there was a time he had a toupee that he wore for a little bit, I think for a show.
My producing partner, Howard Bird, would be,
I never
if
wore
you
it
on
in
right
real
now,
life.
he would be jumping in, talking about the time he had to fly John Travolta's toupee first class for the movie Criminal Activities.
Yes.
True story.
Yes. Now, this was a very expensive piece, I have to tell you. Yes, there was a moment in time in my career where I was losing my hair, and I Joey Pantoliano, I don't know if you know the actor.
Yeah, from Matrix.
Joey is the master of hair. Joey was a hairdresser before he was an actor. So he kind of keyed me into this guy, what the hell was it? Ziggy. And if you look up Ziggy, he did Shatner's toupee, everybody. So he said, yeah. And, Joey's got 9,000 toupees for every part they did. So I went to Ziggy and I let's see, how's it look?
Oh my God.
Ernie! It's Ernie Douglas!
There you go.
Oh, Barry!
Yeah,
There he is!
Nice. How about that? Yeah. Hey, ladies. You want to...
Big Cody, I'm begging you, whether we make another film together or 60 together, in 60 years, I want you to be breaking out your toupee for your fans.
Hey, man, I will. I will.
Leave it on. I think I look pretty good. I'm going to leave it on.
I got a thick head of hair.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
Oh my
Barry,
God,
you look at least 10 minutes younger.
Thank you.
The thing about it, Barry, you became a star at an early age, and your bone structure hasn't changed that much. So, like when you put that on, you instantly become. People would make you on the streets. Hey, it's that guy.
Wow.
I used to watch him at Nick at Night.
Yeah, that's true. You know, there's no getting around it. I say on my tombstone, it's going to be "Here lies Ernie Douglas." See back at Tombstone for further credits. You know, because it's a long list of things that I've done since then. Nonetheless, it will never eclipse that. Maybe Notorious Nick will. Maybe it'll lead to a whole new. I keep joking with my friends and people. I'm going. You know, I'm slowly turning into. You know, morphing into Burgess Meredith before your very eyes. So, you know, I hope that happens. Maybe.
Apropos, can I ask one selfish question? I know it's like not for me to be asking questions, but Cody, I've been curious as to whether or not any of your TV fans, if one in public has approached you specifically about Nick, that has seen Nick. What kind of like in-person feedback?
Not as of yet. Not a total stranger. I mean, it's biased because the people that are speaking to me are people that I know. Right. Or an extension of people that I know. I've yet to have a total stranger come up to me and have that conversation, but I'm looking forward to it. You know what I mean? It's always such a gratifying feeling to know that what you've participated in and the amount of hours and energy invested has some sort of payoff by being seen. You know, we're in the business of storytelling. So when we know that our stories have been heard, they've been told successfully, it's a wonderful feeling. So I'm excited to experience that. Not yet, but I know it's going to happen.
Awesome. Well, Cody, I know you've got to go, but before you do, please wave goodbye to your fans.
Yes.
And if you can share with us any projects you've got coming up, if there's any TV series you're back on, you're leaving, you're coming into, any insight you want to share, where else can people see you?
I mean, first and foremost, I just want to thank, you for the opportunity in this platform, everybody that tuned in, Mark, everybody involved in the project, all the cast, all the crew, producers, all the fans that have watched the film, anybody that has yet to watch, thank you so much for the support. I know I speak for all of us when I say that we're very, very grateful for it. We appreciate it. As of right now, I'm just, gearing up to start the next season of All American. I'm pretty much going to be there for the next 10 months, I would say, filming that. I know there's projects trying to be locked in right now, and there's some things on the schedule, but with COVID and everything else, everything's just kind of shifted. So I'm really just taking it one project at a time. Right now, All American is the focus. So I can literally start tomorrow and get through season 4.
Awesome. Thank you. And then Cody, what cartoon should we all be watching?
Rick and Morty for sure.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, Rick and Morty.
Hey, Cody, on behalf of Mark DeSalle and Howard Bird and Aaron Leong, thank you. I mean, God bless you for making this thing that will live in eternity. It's beautiful, and we appreciate you.
Hey, I appreciate it too, man, and many more.
All right, thank you, Cody. We're going to stick around with the other three of you for a second. Definitely want to find out what you guys are working on. Cameron, what's going on with you? You've got pretty much the entire upper half of California covered, plus LA. What projects do you have coming up?
Mark, can I talk about that one?
Yeah, for sure.
I got a project that I cannot wait to start with. My second one with Mark S. Allen and Howard Well in September. Amy's Effort List. You can say the rest of it, Mark, if you want. And I also have a project that I just finished up, a feature called Last Chance Charlene that I'm so excited about. That's in post production right now. That was with Tony Gapastone. And then a film I just did in San Francisco, just won Best Audience Award at the San Francisco Queer Film Fest, and that's The Median with Matthew Ryuta. I was the lead in that one, and that was very special for me as well. And then again, the theater in 2022. So yeah, just trying to keep busy and looking forward to working with Mark again.
Awesome.
Same with you, man. Congrats on everything.
And then Barry, we think this is your breakout role. We fully expect to see you doing more projects. You've got a great career ahead of you with and without the toupee. What do you have coming up? Anything exciting?
Nothing really on the horizon. I'm going to be doing Breakfast with the Beatles tomorrow. I don't know if you get that radio program around the world, but buddy of mine, Chris Carter, is having me on. So I'm going to talk about Notorious Nick. So actually not tomorrow, on Sunday.
Channel 18, Sirius XM.
Oh, there you go. Channel 18, Sirius XM. Thank you so much. And
Nice.
but no, I'm open and available. You can hire me or my toupee, with or without. It's it's all good. So yeah, that's the story of my life. I do something, ups and downs, peaks and valleys, waiting for the next wave. So I'm just paddling out beyond the surf, waiting for another big swell.
Nice. And then Mark, as a producer, a very important question, timely question. How do you let an actor down when you want to hire their toupee, but not them?
Well, I wish we didn't have to bring it up in this forum, but Barry, there's a great role. It's not union, but we could use the hair. No, I'm kidding. I would work with Barry in a heartbeat. I mean, when we get off of this, I'll call him about a role that the only role in this movie that would fit his category might not be big enough for him, but I would work with him in a heartbeat. Cameron can speak to this. There was a culture on this set that you hope for. That if you just read anything about legendary movies like Field of Dreams or like Animal House, those movies had to outlift their budgets, and people came together and did so joyously. And that was all of these people, all the way from Liz, Cody, Barry, Cameron, and all the way up and down the chain.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing when it happens, and it's a serendipity. You try to plan for it. It happens when everything aligns and everything's meant to be, and this was one of those. I mean, again, we're saying all this, trying to get people excited to go rent the darn movie. It's not in theaters as far as I know anymore, but see what we're talking about. You got to just check it out for yourself. Cody's fans, they're I'm sure they're gonna love it, and even some of my fans will probably love it, and Marcus Allen's fans and Cameron's fans. So we're hoping. And Lionsgate, God bless you. Thank you so much for stepping up and recognizing what we did here and getting behind it. And I hope nothing but great things come to you for supporting us.
Thank you. And thank you guys. Mark, boy, there were so many questions I had for you, not just because you've been a host on an anchor on Good Day Sacramento, which when I visit my in-laws is my favorite show. You've been a DJ in Sacramento, and you've done radio stunts that I totally wanted to ask you. It's like we have to have our own watch party just for the stuff you've done. I want to end with this question. Are you really in the Guinness World Record book for jalapeno pepper eating?
Yeah, I mean, I made the book. I was in print for like 3 years until like an 8-year-old girl beat me. But, Lady Power, bring it. I was in there for a minute.
That's awesome. Mark, if you can stick around for a minute, I'm really curious as a host, both radio and on camera, how you got into producing, because a lot of times for actors, we have our side gigs while we're trying to work our way into working something full time. So how did you get into producing?
I've wanted to be in film my whole life. And so I kind of parlayed everything I did into television to that, and started, when I was on Comedy Central, I talked them into having movie actors on the show when it was pretty much a show for comedians. And then started doing the junket scene, and have done that most of my life. And ultimately the set visits put me on the set, feet away from some of the greatest directors of all time. And I just like absorbed the energy and took notes. And when other people would like groan because they had to talk to a producer, or groan because they had to talk to a director that wasn't Spielberg, I went into those rooms, and that was my film school. So I was praying to God the opportunity would come up. I'll fast forward this conversation quickly. I got a DUI 6 years ago, was sidelined from broadcasting, and some of my best friends, Deon Taylor, Joe Carnahan, and Howard Bird, called and said, "Now that you're not talking about movies, sucking off the teat of CBS, are you ready to make movies?" And I said, "Hell yeah." So he gave me a tiny job as an associate producer on a film, and that took off. We made a bigger one that I senior produced, and then parlayed into this, that Howard was kind enough to bring me along for the ride with he and Mark Dassault on that. And then Howard and I made 6 films beyond that.
Wow. What a wonderful story. Thank you. For me personally, that's an amazing, but I think for everybody watching who who looks at these kind of films, there's so many stories behind the filmmaking process. So Cameron, Barry, Mark, Barry's toupee, Cameron's stage, everybody, thank you.
This will be on eBay later, so that's the only reason I did this, to promote Instagram, sale of my fabulous Siggy
Instagram account.
I just couldn't buy it now.
No, not letting go yet. Not so soon. I may need it.
Thank you. As Mariana says, thank you for an amazing movie and sharing your time. And for everybody watching, next week, tune into the watch party, the movie Habit with Bella Thorne, and then the in-between back on the 28th. Thank you guys so much for watching us. Let's wave goodbye.
Thanks for having us.